Good morning and welcome to Mornings with Mary. It is Tuesday and welcome. So if you are new, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. As always, hashtag replay and share and like. I think I got it backwards, like and share. Anyway, you know the drill. So today we're going to talk about whether or not you can parent and rule roost, like, wear your little crown right here without punishment. Do you think it's possible? Do you really think it's possible to be a parent without punishment? That's a big question, isn't it? Because a lot of people think, well, awesome, I'm a parent, it's now my turn. Actually, my husband has said this to me, and I was like, your turn for what? He's like, it's my turn to be the one who's in charge. Really? So what does it really mean to be in charge? What does it mean to parent? Because everyone has different ideas about this, right? Some people think, hey, yeah, I got grounded. I can't wait till my kids are teens so they can get grounded. Or I got spanked, I'm just fine, right? So there's all these things that go along with parenting that we don't consciously even think about. But I want you to stop and think about it for a second. What does it really mean to be a parent to you? What rights do you feel that you have? And this is a hard question for a lot of people because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I've never really even thought about this. So take a moment, think about it. When you think of parenting, what do you think of? Most of us think about the job of parenting and the yuckiness of parenting and how we have to raise our child, rod and staff and all this stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you something maybe that might just blow your mind just a little bit. You can parent without punishment and not have brats from hell. Go figure. I'm not saying parent without boundaries, completely different. But think about what punishment creates. Okay, punishment creates a dichotomy for where there's one in charge and one who has to fight it. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you understand that I've talked about some of this before, that the dichotomy and the relationship of the prison warden and the prisoner. And then you get into this relationship where one of you is always the prisoner and one of you is always the warden. One of you always has to hold down the rules. The other one always has to fight it. Is that really what you want? I mean, really think about this. Is that the relationship that you want? Because what you instill in your child, A, becomes their inner voice, and B, determines your relationship as an adult. You're not going to be able to be friends with your child that you have established a relationship of you're the boss with. Because they don't just suddenly become 18, 20, 25, and you've now decided to change your relationship. It doesn't happen. So how do you parent without punishment? Here's the big secret. Mutual respect. See, if you don't have to keep this rule, right? If you don't have to manage your child, and I see this all the time, he's out of control, I can't manage them. Well, hello, mama, you don't manage people. Take that right out of your brain. You manage your checkbook. You manage your grocery list. You manage how much you bring in. You manage how much you take out. You manage whether or not you do laundry. You manage things that have a beginning, a middle, and an end. People are not things. They do not have a beginning, a middle, and end, unless you want to call it birth, middle age, and death. Doesn't happen, all right? People need to be led, not managed. You cannot manage people because you cannot control what they do. You cannot control what they say. You cannot control what they think. I know, mind blown like concept, isn't it? It's like, oh my God, what do you mean I can't manage them? No, honey, you can't. You can manage your weekly meal plan. You cannot manage the person. So what do you do with that? How do you lead someone? Well, you lead by asking questions. You lead by investing in the relationship. You lead by seeing their behavior, which can be completely off the scale, right? And understanding that that is a form of communication. May not look it, may not feel it, and chances are what they are reacting to and what they are acting out isn't actually the truth. So let's talk about one of the great examples I love to give is when you have an argument, right? And you're arguing with that person, let's say it's your spouse, it's your kid, it's whatever, and you're arguing about fried chicken. And you think it should be spicy and they think it should be mild, and now you've got this huge argument over really bullshit, right? It's total bullshit. And what are the words that you generally hear? You're not listening to me. You don't understand me. You don't hear me. Look at me. You don't get it. You're not fighting over fried chicken. You're fighting over not being heard. The basis of most arguments is that you don't feel understood. You need to control and manage when you or the other person don't feel understood. It is a basic human need. So, to parent without punishment means you need to respect. The other person is a completely different individual than you. And that's okay. And accept and work with that. You need to listen to what they're saying between the lines. It's an old sales technique, all right? So, watch body language. If you don't know how to do this, do some research on sales techniques, how to read the body, how to understand what someone is saying. Because they're going to tell you exactly what they're saying, and 9 times out of 10, if they are constantly like accusing you of things, that's called transference, and you need to take their yous, like you never do this, you never do that, blah, blah, blah. The you, the never, and the always. Just take those like right out, replace you with I, and you're going to hear their truth. All right? So, parenting without punishment doesn't mean there's no boundaries. It doesn't mean that you don't say, hey, guess what, kiddo? You've now stepped over the line. You are not allowed to talk to me like that because it is not, what's the word? Respectful. Okay? So you're allowed to have any mood you want. Any mood. You can be nice. You can be an ass. I don't care. But when you are outside of your bedroom, you need to have the ability to be civil with other people. If you cannot, you need to go back. That is respect for self and respect for others. There is no need to punish a child. It creates a dynamic for which all they're going to do is not get caught. That's it. I love it when parents say, well, don't let me catch you doing blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what, honey? They're going to make sure that you don't catch them. They're going to work extra hard at making sure you don't catch them. Because you didn't sit down and say, hey, it really concerns me when you do X, Y, and Z. Can we find a way to work around this? Because these are my fears. Now, you just said, I don't want to see you doing that, or I won't, don't let me catch you do that. Great. The kid's like, awesome. You've told me exactly how to get away with it. Really? I mean, think about what you're saying and think about how they're going to hear it. Because is that really what you want? Like, let's say your kid is taking their bike down a hill and there's no brakes. Well, don't let me catch you on that bike again. Okay. You won't. Stop giving them blah, 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 the parameters about what you don't want them to do. Because let me give you some insight. The universe is going to give you exactly what you don't want. Because it's going to hear you say, I want blah, blah, blah. Not I don't want. It doesn't understand like negative words. It only understands positive. So if you want to parent without punishment, stop telling them what you don't want. Tell them what you do want. Stop getting into arguments over bullshit. They're over what? 9 times out of 10, it's out of communication. Think about what it is that you really want them to do. What is your ultimate goal? If your ultimate goal is to raise an independent adult, well, then why are you fighting about whether or not they're going to write a worksheet? Is it really that important? Now, I'm not saying let everything go. But you can sit down and say, hey, you know what? This is going to be important in X, Y, and Z. This is how it's going to be able to be applied later in your life. It's not about doing the worksheet, little Johnny. It is about being able to follow through with the commitment that you've made. Big difference. Now, they may still get pissed, but the point is, you haven't been like, well, now I'm going to take away your phone because you didn't do this. You know what happens? I can tell you firsthand what happens. They give you all the things first, and you know what they say to you? There's no point in my even bothering to do anything because you're just going to take it all away from me anyway. So I'm just going to go do it, and here's my shit. Yeah, it's actually happened. Literally, it has happened to us, and that was like the pivotal moment when we knew parenting the traditional way of I'm the prison guard and you're the prisoner doesn't work. It completely backfires because they're like, yeah, they've learned this sign language. This is thank you, this is F you. Thank you, F you. You need to know the difference. My mother once actually did this to someone who was deaf and she meant to say this. It was actually pretty funny. But anyway, so how do you do this, right? How do you parent without punishment? Because if you don't have punishment, you're going to have chaos. You're going to have anarchy. No, you're not. You're going to have mutual respect. You're going to have kids that want to be with you. You're going to have kids that say, hey, Mom, can I take you out for a cup of coffee? I need to talk. You're going to have kids that say, can you hold me, Mom? I feel safe with you. You're going to have what you desire, not what you don't desire. So it takes time for this change. You can't wake up one morning and go from being like this strict authoritative parent to this, we have boundaries, but we don't have punishment. I'm going to give you another little hint. A lot of times kids are going to punish themselves a lot worse than you ever could. A whole lot worse. And there are times that it is appropriate to take away, let's say, their electronics. Okay? There are times because it's for their safety, not because they didn't do what you wanted them to do. But when it is endangering themselves, it is completely appropriate then to say you can have this back when you're going to respect yourself, when you're going to respect the law, and when you're going to do things that are in the best interest of you. And you need to prove it to me first. Because again, that's about boundaries. It's not about punishment. Punishment gets you nowhere. It's actually how we set up this entire like prison system from early on throughout. And let's talk about charts. Can we talk about star charts? What the hell are those? Like no one gets motivated really by getting a star or a sticker unless maybe you're 2. And even that's kind of stupid. All right? Can we stop this reward thing? Can we work on learning to teach our children that it comes from here? That their drive, that their want is going to be embraced and fulfilled and supported. And are they going to fail? Oh, yeah, of course they're going to fail. They're kids. What's your job? Is your job to push them down and say, you didn't do this right and you deserve this? Really? And then you want them to trust you? Bullshit. Total BS on that. I call total BS. Total. But you take their hand when they fall and you lift them up, you're going to have a friend for life. You're going to have someone who listens to you. You're going to have someone who respects you. You're going to have someone who cherishes your input. Really? Isn't that what you want? Don't you want to be brought into your child's life? You don't want to sit on the outskirts. But how do you do that? You do that by being a friend. And don't sit here and tell me I can never be friends with my kids because they'll walk all over me. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I don't know what kind of friends you have, but you have sucky friends. Okay, friends don't walk all over you. Friends respect you. That is how you parent without punishment. You work together. You work with one another. You listen to understand. You stop reacting, meaning you redo what they do. You take that space between stimulus and response and you pull up your big girl panties. And you hold your tongue. And you ask questions. Stop trying to manage people in your life. You cannot. You can only lead them. How do you lead them? By asking questions. By listening to understand. By modeling the behavior. Do not expect anyone to respect you fully. By punishing, by taking things away, and by asserting authority in a way that is not genuinely respectful. So, if you have any questions about this, leave it below. It's a lot to digest. It's a lot to take in. It's completely different than what probably most parenting books will tell you, unless you're reading peaceful parenting books. But on that note, if you go to maryharrington.com, and that's Harrington with an E, see right here, like a ton of herring fish, and sign up for the newsletter every Wednesday. I think it's, if right now, if you can get a free copy of From Stress to Best, which is the world's 29th bestseller. Thank you. Yay for me. But if you put your email address in there, you're going to get the weekly email on Wednesdays. And the numbers have spoken. They've let me know what everybody wants. So every Wednesday, let me tell you what you're going to get. It's kind of cool. So every Wednesday, you're going to get an article about education. So whether it's primary or, let's say, elementary or middle school or high school, there's going to be some information on education. There's going to be some information on parenting. Then there's going to be some information on whether it's going to be a recipe or 30-minute meals or something like that. But it's going to be healthy. It's going to be stuff that has been tried and true and tested by my family. And then you're going to get some ideas on how to save money. So if you are interested in getting some of that and getting your hands on that, like tomorrow, if you sign up today, tomorrow's email comes out. There is a recipe there for homemade marshmallows that Sarah and I love to do at like 10 o'clock at night, because who doesn't want marshmallows made at 10 o'clock at night? I mean, come on. There's also some information on how to hold your tongue in an argument. That's a great one. And how to save some money. There are 2 free downloads. You get your weekly menu planner, and From Stress to Best is in there. So go there, go to maryharrington.com, Sign up, download your free copy of From Stress to Best. It's like a $20 value. Take it, read it, and I'm going to see you tomorrow morning because tomorrow's hump day. It's the middle of the week and it's time to get moving. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.